management and its preparedness to respond to medical emergencies related to epidemics. Do we have established mechanisms for developing and implementing hospitals' emergency response plan, which of course should include of people affected? Look at the issue to ascertain the preparedness of the town to be. Nigeria and other member countries within the African Peer Review Mechanism have devoted time for self-monitoring in all aspects of their governance and socio-economic development. This was at the 29th summit of the APR Forum of Heads of State and Government held on the margins of the African Union Summit in Ethiopia. President Muhammadu Buhari, who led Nigeria's delegation to the event, also rubbed minds with other African leaders at the meeting of the AU Peace and Security Council on the situation in Libya and the Sahel. State House correspondent Adam Sambo will bring us that report in due course. And meanwhile, all is now set for opening of the 33rd ordinary session of Heads of State and Government of the African Union in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia on Sunday. State House correspondent Adam Sambo reports that a strategic meeting was presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari on the nation's expectations at the summit. In attendance were the governors of Imo and Cross River states, ministers of foreign affairs, defense, information and culture, industry, trade and investment, as well as other key members of the Nigerian delegation. Discussions centered on how Nigeria can derive maximum benefits from the summit, which has as its theme silencing the guns, creating conducive conditions for Africa's development.
My expectation, among other things, is at the end of the day, we would have gotten an organized and approved strategy by the African Union to bring peace and stability in the region, and then also use that as a model to address the Nigerian scenario. I think it is an opportunity for our people to also rally around the president to ensure the excesses of Boko Haram, the kidnapping in the east and the west, and then all the violent crimes are brought down, and then peace to reign in Nigeria so people can go about their normal businesses.
And I'm happy with the breakfast meeting I had with Mr. President this morning. His eloquence and deep understanding of the subject of peace, unity and security of Africa as a fulcrum basis for African growth. And he's driving it personally. I find his energy and enthusiasm very, 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 very encouraging and very outstanding. And his passion for Africa is seen in his deliberate step in every of the subtopics, including the peace and conflict issues in South Sudan.
President of the United Nations General Assembly, Professor Mohamed Tijani Bande, who also arrived at Addis Ababa for the summit, described the area of focus by African leaders at the summit as not only significant but urgent.
It is significant for the world, but it is particularly related to Africa, and in particular conflict situation. And therefore, for Africa, it is extremely urgent. One, because of resources that are devoted in purchase of arms, but the devastation that especially small arms and light weapons have brought on the continent, which hardly produces such weapons. And of course, the destruction around the continent, in many parts of the continent, relating to conflict, are such that without a concerted effort to silencing the guns, will continue to go around the circle. Some effort is made and then destroyed, then we rebuild again. This cannot continue. It is extremely urgent.
In a similar development, Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, has appealed to members of the United Nations to channel additional resources to support Nigerian security forces and displaced victims of Boko Haram violence. The UN chief is meeting African leaders as part of the ongoing African Union Summit in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Continuous support to security agencies in combating Boko Haram and other crimes should take priority amongst global issues to have the capacity in responding effectively to violent attacks on civilians and humanitarian aid workers. The UN scribe added, although several countries have offered to support Nigeria as part of efforts to ameliorate the pains inflicted by the insurgency. The Nigerian Air Force says it will engage the newly inducted platforms to intensify aerial bombardment of bandits in all their hideouts across the country. Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Sadiq Babar Abubakar affirmed this at the inauguration of remodeled facilities in Kaduna. Suleiman Abdullahi Regachikum has that report.
Critical to the fight against insurgency, banditry, and other crimes is the ability of security services to acquire new platforms and infrastructure to boost the morale of fighting forces. Having realized this, the Nigerian Air Force engages in procurement of fighter jets and remodeling of dilapidated structures. At the Premier Air Force Base, Kaduna, Chief of the Air Staff Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar inaugurated remodeled airmen accommodation, water treatment plant, blocks of classrooms, 500 capacity hall, and inspected ongoing rehabilitation projects. He gave the assurance that the Air Force will intensify offensive against bandits in their various hideouts as directed by President Muhammadu Buhari.
The helicopters inducted have already been deployed. You know, one is already here in Kaduna at the flight line. They are working very closely with the other air assets in Mina to make sure that we support the efforts in Kaduna, Birnin-Gwari, and then Mina and all the other areas within Niger State. We are working around the clock with other security agencies to ensure that what needs to be done is done to secure the lives of people.
In Kaduna, I am Suleiman Abdullahi Rigachiku, NTA News.
A 7-month-old baby, Oluchi Harrison Ebon, who was stolen from her mother on November 6 in Lagos and sold to Happiness Ejike, a petty trader, has been recovered in Anambra State by men of the Nigerian police. Amaka Owo tells us more.
25-year-old Blessing Okun Ben is the mother of Princess Oluchi Harrison, who was stolen and sold when she was barely 4 months old. Blessing narrated her ordeal in the hands of a supposed founder of a church, where she is a member.
I don't know, they say now should you can't leave me for that place. I don't get any money. I want to come back again.
Now so they collect pikin for a hand, deceive him, pack the whole load, they run leave him. My wife can't cry.
Pastor Charity Okpara and her cohorts were alleged to have perpetrated the crime of selling the innocent baby.
An all-round figure, she will give me 375,000. Then I should use that money, give to her, that I should take 25,000 of my own for what I have suffered and did to her.
Happiness Ejike may receive the baby from the supposed female pastor and sold her to one Mercy Mwokike based in Anambra State.
The woman that asked me to adopt her for her lives in Anambra, so the baby was taken to Anambra.
Let me say, make I bring money. I give them 800,000.
Lagos State Commissioner of Police Hakeem Odumosu advised those involved in such crimes to desist or face the full wrath of the law.
Whenever anybody commits an offense, if you are unable to prevent it, if you are unable to get it why it is being committed, after it, they must not go unpunished. It's a pure criminal case of conspiracy and stealing.
He added that those interested in adopting children should do so in line with constituted laws. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
That's unbelievable. All right, now the Explosive Ordnance Office of the Ekiti State Police Command is to be relocated. Governor Kayode Fayemi said this during a visit to the site of an explosion which occurred in early hours of Saturday. Kola Adebobi reports.
On-the-spot assessment shows that the explosion occurred from the anti-bomb squad office of the Nigerian police in Adogiti in the early hours of Saturday. Although there is no casualty, the effects of the incident were noticed on various buildings around the area.
The offices around there are badly affected, and some of the cars around there too were smashed.
The State Commissioner of Police, Azukuamba, while on inspection of the incident, described the explosion as unfortunate and advised residents to go about their normal duties as the area has been stabilized without casualty of any form.
These demolition accessories are accessories that in case of a bomb blast and they want to rescue the bomb out of that place, they might have need to reblast it. So it is an accessory that was kept in their stockhouse and it must have exploded from there.
Ekiti State Governor Dr. Kaudi Fayemi, who was on assessment tour of the situation, however, said the anti-bomb office will be relocated from the present site in Ado-Ekiti. Kola Adibobwi, NT News.
The last may not have been heard of the effects of the ban on commercial motorcycles and tricycles by the Lagos State government, as passengers are now left at the mercy of commercial bus drivers who charge above the usual fare. Annie Daniels reports that the metropolis is also now characterized by unexpected vehicular traffic leading to loss of man-hours.
Typical of Lagos on a day like this, cars blaring horns, sirens rent the air, yet vehicles remain almost in the same spot. This may not be unconnected with the traffic Lagos is known for.
The traffic now has tripled than before.
There's no accident on the way, there's no breaking down of vehicle. I don't really know why the traffic is so much.
A lot of people are now bringing their car on the road, and the road is getting congested every day.
Human traffic also, because of the policy that we are having now in Lagos. See people trekking, it's traffic.
Lagos State government, in its desire to cushion the effects of ban of commercial motorcycles and tricycles, says it has made available buses across the state.
Though they are not enough, but I know that the government have a good plan for the people, and they will make things work with time.
However, all my respondents frown at the attitude of commercial bus drivers who now extort money from passengers by charging above the usual fare.
Before keke is 100 naira, but now bus is 200 naira.
The distance between this place and Obalende and CMS has not increased. So what is the meaning of them increasing or doubling the transport fare? The government should just look for a way to monitor them, a way to regulate them.
This respondent, obviously a commercial bus driver, when confronted, makes a case for his colleagues.
There is a lot of traffic everywhere. Look now, if Keke Marua pick passenger from here to VI, it's going to spend like 20 minutes or 15 minutes. But buses are spending like hours.
Lagos residents only hope their expected end to these extortions and traffic will soon become a reality. In Lagos, Annie Daniels, NTA News.
The Northern States Governors Forum congratulates the Emir of Zazzau, Alhaji Shehu Idris, for attaining 45 years on the throne. Chairman of the forum and Governor of Plateau State, Simon Lalong, described the reign of Alhaji Idris as one that has brought peace, prosperity and stability to the Zazzau Emirate, Kaduna State and Nigerians as a whole. The Northern Governors Forum also thanked the royal father for his support and wise counsel to various administrations in the country. You're watching Weekend File. Now, in emergency situations, every second counts and the best hands are required to attend to patients in a life-threatening situation. And the ability of qualified medical personnel to treat patients within a short period of time may be the difference between living and dying. You'll get more facts about the nation's preparedness for any medical emergency when we bring you Correspondence Report, which is next on Weekend File.
The Examinations Council, NECO, wishes to inform the general public that registration for the 2020 National Common Entrance Examination for admission into federal government unity colleges has commenced. Eligibility: final year pupils in primary schools who are not less than 10 years by September 2020. Registration fee is 2,500 naira per candidate. Payments are made into NECO Treasury Single Account. Registration for examination is done on the NECO website, www.neco.gov.ng. Closing date is 20th March 2020. Examination date is 28 March 2020. For further information, please visit the website or any NECO state office nearest to you. Abubakar M. Ghana, announcer.
The Industrial Training Fund, ITF, in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, cordially invites the general public to the official closing ceremony of the National Industrial Skills Development Program. Special guest of honor, Boss Mustafa, Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Distinguished guests, Otumba Richard Adeniyi Adebayo, Honorable Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Alhaji Muhammad Musa Bello, the Honorable Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Ambassador Miriam Batagum, the Minister of State for Industry, Trade and Investment. Chief Host, Sir Joseph Ari, Director General, Industrial Training Fund. Date, Monday, 10th February 2020. Venue, Shehu Musa Yero Adwa Center, Abuja. Time, 10 a.m. Invited guests are to be seated by 9:30 a.m. ITF, developing the nation's human resource. Announcer, Management.
This year, the weather conditions Harmattan in Nigeria is harsh, with temperature dropping very low in some parts of the country. Many underprivileged children are exposed to these harsh weather conditions, putting them at risk to all sorts of respiratory infections with devastating consequences. We request well-meaning Nigerians to kindly donate warm clothing, blankets, beverages, soap, moisturizers, and other essential items for the benefit of these children. Get involved to support displaced and underprivileged children exposed to these harsh weather conditions. Powered by Aisha Buhari Foundation.
In March 2020, in the capital city Abuja, the Ivory 8 Ball, a life-saving fundraising event featuring music and arts in aid of skin cancer patients with albinism. For participation and sponsorship, please call Edidio, Chinwe. This event is supported by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA TV Enterprises, Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, FRCN, and the Albino Foundation. The Ivory 8 Ball for a worthy cause. Watch out.
Your information dey important, just like your identity. Now the only way we fit take hala you. Make you go browse easy.gotvafrica.com. Sign in with your IUC number and mobile number and scroll down to personal details and address. Then check well to see say everything bam. You fit change the one wey not correct. To finish everything, just click the save button and it don't finish.
Thank you. I make sure say my phone number dey correct. That's not why GoTV fit call me make I come collect my own awoof.
Angel, time for my phone in Hawaii because now my correct phone number dey for book.
GoTV, live it, love it.
Now look me again, no. Make you go do your own.
You're welcome back. In 2014, when Nigeria was hit by the deadly Ebola virus, it took everyone by surprise. But the federal government was proactive in curtailing the spread of the disease. With the emergence of the new coronavirus, the nation is scaling up its preparedness and placing adequate surveillance measures at airports and land borders to prevent importation of the virus into the country. Joy Ken Ababoya from Lagos brings us up to speed with the state's readiness to contain possible medical emergencies.
Is the economic hub and a major point of entry into Nigeria. It is also the largest megacity in Africa with a high-dense population, high-density residential locations, and significant number of slums. And so, the city is relatively vulnerable to the importation of the novel coronavirus and the spread of infectious diseases.
We have therefore put in place measures to reduce the chances of entry of this virus into Lagos by wrapping up our surveillance system increasing our biosecurity capacity for containment of any possible case with greater emphasis on prevention and early detection.
This facility is the Center for Infectious Diseases, mainland Yaba, the general hospital designated for the containment of dangerous pathogens. For the past 3 years, according to the Lagos State Commissioner for Health, work to upgrade the center has been ongoing, and it is now fully escalated and equipped with sophisticated facilities to effectively manage any outbreak. Several other general hospitals in the state are also being prepared to handle patients in case of emergencies.
We're sending out information to all our primary healthcare structures to ensure that everybody is part of the synchronized response. We are also trying to disseminate information to the private sector, because it's quite possible that patients will come in and they will present not to a government facility but to a private facility.
An incident command system and emergency operations center for harmonizing, streamlining, and fast-tracking preparedness to prevent and contain infectious diseases were also recently activated by the Lagos State government. In Lagos, Joy Ken Abakpuya, NTA News.
Now, the world tries to contain the spread of the novel coronavirus, which originated in Wuhan district of China. Nigeria is also battling with the outbreak of Lassa fever. The National Center for Disease Control was established to contain and respond to medical emergencies. But how effective can this center handle these epidemics? This, of course, is what Alnifosha seeks to find out.
Health Organization has declared a global public health emergency on the novel coronavirus, as many countries of the world are currently trying to prevent or contain the outbreak. Although there is no confirmed case of the novel virus in Nigeria, the question is Nigeria ready for medical emergencies as such? At the National Reference Lab, an arm of the National Center for Disease Control, Director of Laboratory Services Nwando Mba says the center has well-equipped laboratories for the detection of any kind of viral disease.
Yeah, we have capacity to diagnose all, both using molecular diagnosis, but we have capacity for molecular diagnosis too, to confirm these outbreaks.
I was taken to an inactivation room where the samples of all viruses collected are first rendered harmless before being transferred to other laboratories for detection. In the case of the novel coronavirus, the lab scientists say this particular research laboratory is equipped with state-of-the-art facilities which can detect coronavirus.
If we have any sample within the country, the sample will be brought here and then we'll do the diagnostics using some of the machines you have here to actually say categorically whether the person has the virus or not.
Also from here, stepping up capacity in other network labs. What we have behind us is a real-time PCR machine, which is able to detect it. We are very, very fast, and we have also optimized and we are ready to go.
The center is also collaborating with foreign partners to develop vaccines for some epidemics, especially the Lassa fever in Abuja, Toiba, and Ifoshe. NTA News.
Thank you. Now, let's bring in our guest tonight, who is the Minister of Health, Dr. Osagie Haneri, who's there in Lagos. Good evening, Honorable Minister, and welcome to Weekend File. I just hope you can hear me clearly. But, Honorable Minister, let's begin by asking you to update Nigerians on the general preparedness of the country in relation to any sort of medical emergency that might occur. Let's say now in Nigeria we have Lassa fever, and of course corona fever is not yet here, but the possibility is not yet ruled out until the disease is properly handled in China and elsewhere in the world. So how prepared is Nigeria in case of such an emergency situation?
There has been heightening preparation. We have been activating all facilities, particularly the port health services in headquartered in Abuja, I was in Kano today to look at the isolation center, and right now I'm in Lagos. I have an appointment with the Commissioner of Health to look at the facilities in Lagos today. That is in the case that any case slips by Port Health Services. But Port Health Services are on heightened alert. They are doing all the scanning, thermal scanning that is necessary, reviewing every patient that passes through. Immigration and customs are also helping, and it is only in the rare occasion that one case will slip through, and will also be given forms to fill. All passengers arriving are given a form to fill, which indicate where they will be. And also, they have a number that they can call, and they will be given a call if they do not report. And within 14 days of arriving here, they call if they do not feel well, and they'll be collected by an ambulance. That's the model we have made.
All right, sir. What is of the efficacy of our infection control mechanism, which of course is key in tackling medical emergencies? Do we really have the capacity to dissect some of the elements of the coronavirus, for instance, using our own laboratories in Nigeria to determine what we can do locally to address it in case one breaks out? Because if you recall, during the Ebola era, there was infections detected in Nigeria, and of course the then federal government through the Federal Ministry of Health curtailed it by developing local content of some kind of medication that really took care of it.
The main focus for infectious disease has been Lagos State, from the experience that was gathered from that 2014 Ebola crisis. Lagos State has worked very well in developing this infrastructure, infectious disease hospital, and a pool of infectious disease experts who are on the ready right now. The rest of the country is doing exactly the same thing. The ability to diagnose the coronavirus is now present in 3 laboratories, in Abuja, in Irua, and in Lagos. So if any case comes in, they can be diagnosed. But even before cases come in, all the measures that are for prevention are there: personal protective equipment, masks, sanitizers. They have all been distributed. And as I said just now, I was in Kano today to look at the isolation center there and see how prepared they were, and I'm quite satisfied with what I saw. I'm in Lagos now to also do the same thing.
All right. Now, what about other states? There are so many entry points in Nigeria, not just Lagos. We have other airports, where Nigerians are brought in day by day. And of course, you know that Nigeria is doing a lot of business with Chinese companies and different establishments in China, as well as many Nigerian students are also in China. Are we keeping tab of the movement of people, maybe Nigerians coming back from China to Nigeria at every point, not just Lagos, maybe Kano, Kaduna, Port Harcourt, and others?
We have 5 international airports. Enugu is not active at the moment because it's undergoing repairs. But the main ones are Lagos, Abuja, Kano, and Port Harcourt. In these places, we are well prepared. We have teams on the ground. We have modeled that any importation, any possible importation can only be through the airport. It's extremely unlikely through the land border or the sea border, but we have also not discounted those possibilities. So therefore, the focus is on the airports, particularly Lagos, which has a very high volume of air traffic. I have had a conversation with the Chinese ambassador, and we are happy that they themselves have, at this time, started carrying out screening of passengers who are leaving their country, not just screening those who are coming in, but screening those who are leaving in order to reduce the possibility of export, which is gratifying to us. I also had a conversation with the Nigerian ambassador in Beijing. He's monitoring Nigerian community, particularly in Wuhan. There are about 60 of them, and there is no report of any one of them falling sick as yet, although it was reported that 2 were in hospital for other reasons, not related to coronavirus. And so the conversation between us is quite active, and the Nigerian embassy is keeping tabs on Nigerian citizens over there.
Now, the Federal Minister of Health recently advised Nigerians to avoid self-medication and report to the nearest health facility whenever he or she is having some symptoms suggestive of some infectious diseases. Because it's as if also recall that during the Ebola era, some were taking salt excessively as a way to address the Ebola crisis there. Now, this time around, what are you telling Nigerians to do? Because some are also suggesting that there are some local concoctions that could be used to address corona if it comes around.
It's no local concoction. The coronavirus is a new virus. There is work going on frantically to get a vaccine against it, but it is not something that is amenable to any kind of concoction that you have here. Again, our number one strategy is to stop the possibility of importation and prepare for the possibility that one slips through. Local concoction is not anything to rely upon. We have advised all those who have entered this country that if you recently, within the next 14 days, feel ill, then you call that number and you'll be picked up. And if you do not call and we have your number, we'll call you. So this is the strategy that we're adopting. Self-medication is not of any help here.
All right, thank you, Honorable Minister of Health, Dr. Osagie Ehanire. We'll take a break now from this interview. I'll bring in 2 more reports for you to watch, and of course we'll return for further conversation. Please just hold on a while. Currently active in Ebonyi State, with 23 confirmed cases of Lassa fever being managed at the State Virology Center. About 7 other screening checkpoints is on red alert to check further spread of the epidemic and to manage any emergency situations that may arise. Chinaza John reports.
In 2015, Ebonyi State government built and equipped a virology center for prompt medical attention, having lost personnel and patients annually to the dreaded Lassa fever outbreaks since 2005. Managed by the federal government, the virology center has lived up to its expectation.
If not the construction and equipping of that virology center, we wouldn't have known what will be our fate today. But with that virology center, we are better off to contain any outbreak.
And there's no reason anybody should be dying of Lassa fever in Ebonyi State. People are coming from even Cameroon to access services in our virology center here. People from the south and from the north central geopolitical zone of this country to handle it as a problem.
Also, temporary quarantine centers have been set up at various health centers, while surveillance officers are deployed to the 13 local government areas of the state. The state government, in addition, has set up a 7-man committee equipped and deployed for quick intervention at the various entry points into the state. In Abakaliki, Chinaza John, NTA News.
Now, Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital has deployed human and material resources in dealing with emerging health challenges in Kano State. Awal Salihu reports that the tertiary health institution is collaborating with state government through robust and comprehensive approach to deal with emergency cases.
Following reported case of Lassa fever outbreak in the state and the coronavirus in China, Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital has adopted various strategies to contain the situation. This has become imperative in view of strategic and cosmopolitan nature of Kano, with highest population in the country. The situation compelled Kano State government to mount surveillance. Apart from the provision of more health facilities and the upgrade of existing ones, manpower has been adequately equipped with relevant skills in handling the emerging threats.
Being put in place as far as structure is concerned in these hospitals, and then they are fully equipped by the state government. And if you come to the issue of operationalization, the state government has put aside huge amount of money which is being utilized day in, day out in trying to see that the needful is done in our health facilities to cater for the common man and try to see that healthcare service delivery in the state is upped.
We also have other agencies like Nigerian Center for Disease Control also support the facility in terms of provision of supplies and consumables, especially that will be required in terms of management of infectious disease outbreak, which can come in the form of emergency.
Hospitals also embarked on rigorous enlightenment campaign to educate citizens on dangers of emerging tropical diseases and the need to adopt precautionary measures in overcoming challenges. In Kano, Awal Salisu, NTA News.
Thank you, Awal. This is Weekend File. We'll take a short break now. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with the Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Ihanire. Stay with us.
Welcome to our wonderful world of data with these incredible new offers from your #1 4G network nationwide. Glow Unlimited.
Not so fast. Look, I'm tired. I want to check out of this country for greener pastures.
Just calm down for a moment. Please sit down. Do you have a job where you're going to?
No, but someone is arranging,
Listen, Alinko. Checking out of this country without proper planning means one thing. Unimaginable begin. You know, I've been in the diaspora, but legitimately doing great things at home and abroad. As I've been saying, without the proper footing abroad, the risk is not worth it. Listen, Alinko, it's better to be home than be trapped abroad, or even end up in prison.
Maybe say now today or 4 days when my girls won't come visit and I need to go expire.
Oh, my guys, they can't follow me watch this match. I must not fold the hand.
Babe, what's happening now? Sorry to disappoint you, but my subscription don't expire.
The match is not on my GoTV package.
Now your holla be that. I beg, give me your phone. Make I show you how you go take do it for my GoTV app for your phone.
Life is so much easier with my GoTV app. Make payments, clear error messages, change your package. You can also check your due dates and keep abreast of your payment history.
With the corner, Matip is there.
The new My GoTV app is everything you need in one place. So what are you waiting for? Download My GoTV app now from Google Play or App Store to enjoy the easy life. GoTV. Live it, love it.
And you're welcome back. Now, let's return to our guest in Lagos, who is the Minister of Health. Sir, you watched the last two reports that we presented. In Ebonyi State, about 23 cases confirmed, and is now being managed at the virology center in that state. And of course, Lassa fever has also been reported in some other states. What more can you tell us about the situation?
Fever infection this year has been unusually high. It's more than in previous years. We know that the peak is generally in the dry season, this time of the year. But the good news again is that the case fatality rate has been drastically reduced. That means the number of people who lose their lives from Lassa fever has gone down now to about 13%. At the time it used to be over 30. So that is due to earlier reporting, better treatment, and better monitoring and a better understanding of the disease process. So the peak, the main states are Ebonyi, Edo and Ondo. They are the highest number of cases, and other states follow are Taraba, Bauchi, and others. But it's appearing in various other places, and we have urged all a higher index of suspicion. If you treat a fever, malaria, which is the first thing that we do because malaria is endemic here, and much improved sample transporting system. The other piece of good news is that there's a vaccine being developed. It's being worked upon. It has done the first stage of trial, and it will take a few more years before it is fit to be used for humans. So there's hope that there will be a vaccine for it. But above all, we urge improvement in sanitation. The scientific evidence we have is that Lassa fever is transmitted by rodents, by rats particularly, which invade your homes during the dry season when they are leaving the bush, when there's not much food in the bush, or when there's bush burning for the next cropping season. And they invade the homes more than before. And if food is left uncovered, gari or fish or whatever, they leave feces and they leave urine parts, drops on this food, and that is where the virus, that's how the virus gets into humans. So we urge better sanitation, keep your homes free, and keep your food well covered. We urge good hygiene, food hygiene, cook your food very well, good personal hygiene also, in order to reduce the incidence of Lassa fever and diseases of that nature.
Yes, if my record is right, you mentioned about 7 states now that, have actually reported Lassa fever. We just hope that it doesn't go further, because you appreciate the fact that it's on the high side this time around. One, we just hope that it doesn't go further. But let me ask you this. In the event of any medical emergency that is infectious in nature, such as coronavirus, so how equipped are the medical facilities in Nigeria, apart from laboratories and other facilities required, hospitals where the retreatment, takes place? What is the situation at our hospitals? What is your assessment of that?
Well, first of all, every state has a public health department, and that public health department will immediately be notified, and that public health department will also notify the Nigeria CDC, Center for Disease Control. So it is from there that all mechanisms are put in place. Once a disease crops up, we do contact tracing, find out who that patient has been or that patient has been in touch with, relatives or friends, and find out if those people might be at risk of either contracting the disease or also transmitting it. In some cases, we put them on prophylactic treatment, that is to say we give them medicine to prevent an outbreak of that disease. But immediately it breaks out, after watchful waiting, they are admitted into isolation centers. And it is one such isolation center that I visited in Kano today. So we have isolation centers where we put patients for treatment who have highly infectious diseases. So that is the arrangement, particularly in high burden areas in Owo, for example, where we have had a very high outbreak this year. There has even had to be a spillover because the infectious disease center there was full, and we had to take a tent in there where patients are being managed. So there is a response for everywhere, for most places where the disease has popped up, and particularly the places where we know that traditionally the numbers are very high. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control has also distributed personal protective equipment, and they are going around doing training local staff, local hospital staff on how to handle infectious diseases. I just instructed now that the center in Irua she will send experts to go and check the isolation facilities and the training protocol in all the high burden states, particularly also in Kano, where there was a surprise outbreak recently. Kano was not normally known to have to ever get Lassa fever, but even in Abuja, we have an isolation center at the University of Abuja Teaching Hospital in Gwagwalada. The team will also visit and check the protocol, the training protocol, and do some training on the staff. So we are doing everything to be able to contain this disease wherever it breaks out, and working together with local, that is to say, state staff. We have done some very good work and been a lot of progress in handling these diseases of public health concern.
All right, Honorable Minister, what can we really learn from the Chinese experience? Because news had it that the Chinese authorities were able to build 2 hospitals in 2 weeks, and develop other capacities within a short period of time. Because when you talk about the emergency situation that has to do with health, there's some level of confusion in the first place, even in the professional among the professionals in the first place. Because of course the Chinese man that blew the first trumpet, was not believed as that in December, when he told the authorities of the strange strength. But today it's a reality, and that young man has also died. And now in Nigeria, we hear about a strange fever in Benue State that has already taken about 15 lives. I hope you have an idea about that. May we know more concerning that strange fever? And I'd like also to speak on the issue of our preparedness in terms of outbreak of an emergency, using Chinese experience as a case in point.
Let me start with I will start with the Benue experience. There was a report that came out of people who had lost their lives in Benue State. Now, we have been in touch with the chief epidemiologist of Benue State and the commissioner of health, and the information we got, the last information we got, was that there were 4 people, and the 4 people had eaten some fish, and the fish appeared to have been fish caught from the river using a chemical. I'm told that in some communities they use gamalin or some other chemical which is thrown into the water, and then the fish die, and then they are picked up, so that the people avoid the traditional method of using nets or hooks. So anyone who consumes fish of that type is also consuming the poison, the chemical. And the first suspicion is that these incidents in Benue may be related to consumption of contaminated fish and from the river, and the results that they saw might be coming from that consumption. But the results are not yet in. Tests have been taken, samples have been taken from the water and from patients, and they have been analyzed, and very soon we shall know what exactly was found. Now, coming back to the Chinese experience, the Chinese have shown a very high, demonstrated to the world a very high degree of organization and readiness. Having built a hospital, the ambassador himself told me this. They built a 1,000-bed hospital in 9 days. And, obviously, these were prefab buildings they set up, and it's quite an impressive feat. Now, we don't have that capacity yet, but we are developing, we are learning a lot, we are developing a lot of options to be able to take care of emergencies that prop up here. Public health emergencies, we are developing spillover options. If a large number of cases appear in one place, where do you take them to? We are also building up an ambulance referral system in the country. We are going to be doing a test of that in Abuja very soon, emergency medical response, so that we have the opportunity of being able to move patients from one place to the other when there's a very high outbreak in one place for treatment. Above all, there's a surveillance to find out who is sick, who were they in touch with, how do we get those ones who were possibly contaminated and test them also, and how do we carry out the treatment. Do we have enough reserve of materials? Do we have a good stock? Yes, we do. We have received money from the federal government to procure more equipment and more materials and more commodities. So we are our preparedness is higher than it has been before this outbreak came about. But
all right. Thank you, Dr. Henry. We are actually running out of time. Well, I know you have another opportunity of talking to Nigerians on this very important issue. I would like to stop you here, sir, and appreciate you for sharing your time and your wealth of experience with us. Thank you, Dr. Osage Ohanire, as the Minister of Health. Thank you indeed. Now, it's time for a final break for today on the show. We'll be back very shortly.
Lassa fever occurs when a person gets bitten by a rat carrying the Lassa virus. It is also contacted through the consumption of foods that have been contaminated by either the saliva, urine, or excreta of the rats. Lassa fever is deadly, so protect yourself and loved ones from it. Keep rats away from your homes. Ensure that leftover foods are properly covered at night and heat up properly before consumption. Wash fruits properly before you eat. Maintain regular hand wash with soap and water, as well as environmental sanitation. Report all feverish conditions and bleeding from the nose or mouth to the health facility nearest to you, and don't indulge in self-medication. This message is from the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA.
That channel where you watch just now don't waka, no panic.
There's me, no panic.
You go do it by yourself like ABC. Oh yeah, press the menu button on top your remote. Scroll up and down till you see Information Central. Then press OK.
Press OK.
Check the signal strength and quality. If the signal strength and quality pass 70, make you press the exit button, go back. Go advanced options, then choose installation, then go to reset and press OK.
Yeah, press OK. Wow, now you self fit catch all those channels will be one miss road by yourself. Yes, make your group for no loss. You see as I do, Abi? And I see as I do,
Go TV, live it, love it.
And I see as we do,
Now, we told you earlier that Nigeria and other member countries within the African peer review mechanism have devoted time for self-monitoring in all aspects of their governance and socio-economic development. Let's bring in now our reporter, Damusambo.
As a specialized agency of the African Union, the African Peer Review Mechanism is a mutually agreed instrument voluntarily acceded to by member states of the African Union as a self-monitoring mechanism. Its mandate is to encourage conformity with regards to political, economic, and corporate governance values, codes and standards amongst African countries towards achieving Agenda 2063 and SDGs 2030. At the event, President Muhammadu Buhari and his colleagues discussed, identified deficiencies and shared experiences towards reinforcing best practices that will lead to political stability, high economic growth, sustainable development, and accelerated sub-regional and continental economic integration.
Nigeria is going to be the next country, actually, that's going to be reviewed. So I think Mr. President was there to listen to the review of Egypt and to understand and to see, the whole process and the different things, the governance issues that they review, and so on. So I think the takeaway was, it's called a peer review. It's about sharing best practices. And during the review of Egypt, there were also some areas of best practice that the reviewers, pointed out. So it was also something that Mr. President could take away and apply also in Nigeria.
Highlights of the summit was the takeover by the South African leader Cyril Ramaphosa, the chairmanship of the APR Forum from his Chadian counterpart, President Idris Deby Itno. President Muhammadu Buhari also joined dozens of African leaders at the AU Peace and Security Council meeting in furtherance of their sustained engagement for a peaceful and secured Africa as envisaged in Agenda 2063. The situation in Libya and the Sahel region dominated discussions as President Muhammadu Buhari, during the closed session, condemned in strong terms the perpetrators of terrorism, violent extremism, and other forms of vicious conflicts that continue to cause mayhem and untold hardship in the region. He said time has come for a new strategic thinking to effectively prevent, manage, and resolve conflicts in the face of new circumstances.
And of course, the Sahel aspect was, has a direct bearing on Nigeria. And so Mr. President was there and listened to the status report of the situation in Libya, which of course affects us greatly, especially with regards to small arms and light weapons that are proliferating in our part of the world. And so we're now trying to come up with a common strategy to address the situation. But I think most importantly, in Mr. President's speech, it was really the question of, he emphasized in that speech that no foreign interference in Libya, because that is what is exacerbating the situation there, and the importance of all the parties sitting down and coming to an agreement.
Before going into the closed session, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said the United Nations will back meaningful efforts and work hand in hand with the African Union towards supporting the people of Libya and the Sahel region as they secure their economic, security, and political future. From Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Nigeria's First Lady Aisha Buhari has reaffirmed her commitment to the country's power lifters after 16 of them won gold at the just concluded World Cup in Abuja. Well, we will bring you details of that report in our subsequent bulletin. For now, we are concluding today's edition of the program. I'd like to thank you for being part of it, and of course, we will return next week with another edition of the program. Good night.